helping other things. So that's the interest report, Governor.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Causey, Fire Insurance Matters.
Thank you, Governor. The fire condition, the State Property Fire Insurance Fund, the balance is getting a little better. It's the end of October is $34.5 million. And on page 2, I just have 2 items that need to be paid on property losses. One is for A&T State University water damage to the Student Center. And item 2 is the State Highway Patrol of their Viper locations damage from windstorms. So I move that we pay those 2 items.
Commissioner Causey moves we pay those items. Is there a second? Second by Secretary of State Marshall. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
No. The ayes have it. The motion carries, and without objection, Commissioner Troxler will be recorded as voting aye on approval of the minutes. Great. We'll now have Board of Transportation right-of-way matters with Heather Forger.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, Council. Department of Transportation has 10 items for your consideration today. All these items have been approved by the Secretary of Transportation and the Board, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
Are there questions for Ms. Fulgham? The members of the Council of State have been provided this information and have looked at it. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Auditor Wood moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Troxler. Is there further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Ms. Fulgham. We'll
Thank
now have the One Cheese Marine Industrial Matters with Heather Horton.
Good morning, Heather Horton with Department of Commerce here on behalf of the Wanchese Marine Park, presenting one item that was approved by the board at their August 29th, 2022 meeting. Involves the purchase of one of the buildings in the park, and the purchase price of $1.8 million to be to further their efforts in providing jobs to those individuals in that area of the state.
Are there questions for Ms. Horton? Treasurer Falwell.
Ms. Horton, is this anything about this controversial?
No,
Nothing.
nothing.
Thank you. No further questions.
Do I have a motion for approval?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Commissioner Causey moves approval, second by Auditor Wood. Further discussion or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Horton.
Thank you.
We'll now have State Property Matters with Tim Wall.
Good morning, Governor, members of the council. I have 4 changes and 4 to pull, so if you'll bear with me just a moment. On page 22, acquisition by deed, item number 15. The very first line under grantor, that name, instead of Frederick A. Lyon, it should be Joseph A. Lyon, and he is chairman. On page 24, acquisition by lease, item number 3. The very first line under lessor, instead of Russell J. Fleming, it should be J. Russell Fleming as manager. Then on page 28 and 29, acquisition by lease, items 10, 11, and 12. I'm pulling all 3 of those. And on page 35, under severance, item number 7, I'm pulling that item.
Identify that one again.
It's item number 7 under severance on page 35. Then on page 37, other matters, item number 5. On the third line, it begins agreement with Lion Services. That should be Lions, plural, Lions. And finally, on page 39, under sublessee, impact data is shown as two words. It should be one word, no space between T and D. Impact data is one word, no comma, and LLC. Kelly has all those changes. They will be reflected in the minutes next month. Having said all that, I have 49 items for your consideration this morning.
Questions for Mr. Walt? Treasurer Falwell.
Thank you, Governor. Tim, on page 22, as the Chair of the State Banking Commission, can you tell the Council of State what they're paying for the building that we're in now?
Page 22.
Commissioner of Banks, acquisition by lease.
And your question is, I'm sorry,
Well, obviously, the banking income exists and exists in the building down the street. Do you know what we're paying for the building that we're in now?
not off the top of my head, I do not, but I'll be glad to provide that for you.
Thank you.
Further questions? Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Commissioner Troxler moves approval. Is there a second to the motion? Second by Commissioner Dobson. Further discussion or debate? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is approved. Thank you, Mr. Walton.
Thank you, Governor.
We now have Heather Moorfield with the UNC Healthcare System.
Good morning, Governor and Council of State. Thank you for having me this morning. UNC Health has 3 lease renewals for your review. I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have about them.
Any questions for Ms. Moorfield? There's no vote on this. Any questions for her? Treasurer Falwell.
Governor, I'll repeat what I've said over the last 4 years. I don't believe it's proper for the Council of State to be considering things that we're not voting on. I hope we get this changed in the long session because it implies that we've given our seal of approval to something that we actually don't have a vote on. And either we should be voting on it or it shouldn't be brought before us at all. So I'll put that as part of my legislative agenda.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Moorfield.
Thank you.
We will now begin our roundtable. Secretary of State Marshall.
Good morning, Governor. Thank you very much. Yesterday, I was able to attend the Farm Bureau Annual Convention and actually did the first public announcement of the new Rural Rise NC webpage. I've been talking about all this growth in North Carolina businesses starting up, and we've been concentrating on the rural areas. Our goal is to stymie the rural divide and maybe at some point be able to close it so that the rural-urban divide doesn't exist in North Carolina. But we've got to start somewhere. And so we started with 7 rural counties and we moved to 14 and now we're up to 24 with a resource bulletin. We surveyed new entrepreneurs on their 1-year anniversary and found that they don't know where to go for help. We surveyed what were the obstacles, what would they like to have known. And so we are now sending, with each new creation, a bulletin out to these new creators with an information list that is customized to their county. And we are providing them with local connections. We find that the open rate on these bulletins is higher than national average, and the click-through is also higher. So we feel like we're on to something. These are resource providers that already exist with free or low-cost services to these businesses, and they just don't know about it. So we're trying to open their eyes, open the door to what is available in their backyard. So we're up to 24. We intend to go through all the 78 rural counties first. My advice to somebody who's interested who their county is not on the list of 24 is just go to a neighboring county because we've got those all over the state. A lot of these providers are regional providers, so they would apply to that particular county. So we're tickled to death. Folks can reach this website at sosnc.gov/rise, and that'll take them directly to it. We know that the attrition rate, the closure rate is 25% after 3 years and 50% after 7 years, and we want to make a dent into that. So the other thing I want to report upon is that earlier last week, we had our charitable solicitation report, and I'm absolutely tickled to death. The numbers are very good for this year for the charitable communities. It's a resource that shows people precisely how much of the money they give to the covered charities actually goes to the mission versus how much goes to the fundraisers or administrative costs. So we encourage the public to give, but give wisely. This year, overall giving increased 40%, and the effectiveness of the charities reached an all-time high. It was just slightly under 82%. I think that's really good news for North Carolina charities. Now, the point to make about this is it doesn't cover all charities, and the fact that we had such a good report this year does not mean that there aren't needs out there in the communities that are unmet. We did our rollout at the Green Share project on Capitol Boulevard. A lot of folks didn't know it existed. They're very pleased to know what kind of resources are there. So we're thrilled with the charitable report this year. It was really more than $47.5 million from North Carolinians going to these. That was a $13.3 million increase over the prior year. Now, the prior years have been pandemic years, so you have to take that into context. But we're very pleased with the effectiveness. So, as I repeat, despite this record-breaking number, charities out there still need our help, and we're doing a lot on charity scams. Attorney General Stein and I are doing an event for AARP tomorrow, so we continue to hammer to do your research before you give and make sure that your dollars go to where they get the greatest impact. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Troxler.
Governor, as we approach Christmas, I encourage everybody to buy North Carolina products locally. Also want to make sure that everybody buys a real Christmas tree and greenery. There are enough Christmas trees for North Carolinians this year. There's no problem with that. We may run a little short on sending trees across the country, but they are beautiful. And about 2.5 weeks ago, we broke ground on a new research facility at our Laurel Springs Research Station that will be doing genetic and disease research on Fraser firs that is much needed. And we'll do this in conjunction with our universities and with the Christmas Tree Growers Association. So hopefully that will ensure a long, fruitful Christmas tree industry for North Carolina. And on a personal note, I hope I have just finished a 17-day battle with COVID and the after effects. And before anybody freaks out or runs, I have been negative for 9 days. And with all the antivirals and antibiotics that I've taken, I'm probably the cleanest germ-wise that I will ever be. But I say this to remind people that COVID is still out there, and it can make you very, very sick or put you in the hospital or even kill you. It hasn't gone away. The doctors told me that without the new bivalent vaccine that you have almost no immunity to the variants that we have out there right now, and I made a bad decision. I took the heavy dose of flu vaccine and was going to wait about 2 weeks before I got the bivalent vaccine. And it got me before I got it. If I've ever been that sick before in my life, I don't remember it. And without the new treatments, I think I would have ended up in the hospital. It was that bad. And true to form, my wife Sharon and I were on 2 different tracks. She had taken the bivalent vaccine and not the flu shot, and I had the flu shot and not the vaccine, but she was with me the whole time that I was sick, never got sick or never tested positive, so evidently the vaccine is effective. So I encourage everybody that is of a mindset to take this vaccine. Don't wait. Christmas is coming. I spent Thanksgiving Day in isolation without the turkey dinner and without family, so it's no fun. So take precautions and be wise and do as I say, not as I do.
respond to people, but Commissioner, I have to commend you. Number one, I'm glad you're okay, and COVID is still with us, and what you said makes a lot of sense. The bivalent vaccine, commonly known as the newest booster, is truly important for people to take to continue to protect themselves. It doesn't ensure you're not going to get COVID. It certainly can help you, prevent you from getting COVID, and it can also help reduce your symptoms if you do get COVID. So thank you for that story. Thank you for continuing to encourage people to get it. Grateful for that. And I'm glad you're better and here and Adam. And I want to commend you because the North Carolina turkeys were at the White House. So the president wanted the turkeys. The Congress wanted our Christmas tree. We put up the Capitol Christmas tree. Now, if we can get us a holly wreath on the door of the Supreme Court, we'll have the trifecta in Washington covered. But we're proud of North Carolina agriculture products this week, and there are millions of North Carolina trees all across the country bringing cheer and warmth and memories to families. So I'm grateful for the good work of North Carolina agriculture, providing those turkeys and the trees.
And we do lead the nation in putting the Christmas tree in the White House. I think we've done it 14 times now, much more than any other state. And there's no reason that we don't do it every year. But every now and then, the judges make a mistake. And, I think it happens.
That's right. But it had been a while since we had actually had the Capitol Christmas tree. So having Ruby, the red spruce, there in front of the Capitol, really a really great thing. So thank you for that. Treasurer Falwell?
Thank you, Governor. Just one question maybe you can ask toward the end about the probability of us having a January 9th council state meeting. I think a lot of us are trying to block our calendars, and with the way the state holidays are falling this year, trying to get a full weekend weekend is very important to us. So as soon as you can let us know that, that'd be.
We will look at that and let you know just as soon as we can. We try to look to see whether there's anything really pressing. And I think, Chief, we would probably try not to have it if we can do that, but we need to leave it on the calendar for the moment.
Sure.
And we'll look and see.
And part of that, based on initiative of Alder Wood and many others, we've been partnering with the local government commission has been partnering with the County Commissioner Association, who have developed this new thing called the Strategic Member Services, in an effort to get the counties that are on the LGC watch list off the LGC watch list. And they're having their first 9 graduates. And if we are meeting here, I may ask for permission for the graduates to come in after our meeting, and so that the county commissioner, since most of the local government commissions will be here anyway physically, maybe to use this meeting room for that period of time. On the good news front, today we will be handing the keys back to one of our eastern North Carolina towns called Pikeville. This is a community that we had to take over the finances of about 17 months ago. And, with everything that's in the paper, this is a good news story about a community like Aurora that has come together and brought the transparency, the competency, and the governance necessary to now manage their own affairs. So it's a great news story that the city government of Pikeville will be at the local government commission meeting today so that we can hand their key back to them. Other good news, some of you have been to the North Carolina Museum of History this year, where they have the exhibit, The Women of Country Music. I'd recommend all of you who have an interest, not just in country music, but the importance that women have brought to putting sunshine on the empowerment of women, the importance of women, and what they've done to bring sunshine to the what's going on not only in rural America, but in some cases rural North Carolina. So I really recommend that exhibit. And lastly, I can't even read my own writing, is that I've already talked about Pikeville. This is my last my last talk about the 4-H camp down in Terrell County. Anybody who's listening, who's interested in sending their kids to summer camp, they're open this year, as well as any of you who are thinking about having retreats for your council of state. The 4-H camp has all the lodging, all the facilities, just it's a beautiful campus. And why not take advantage of a state asset? And lastly, about Pikeville, just to talk about the local government commission. When we take over one of these towns, we're not conquerors, we're rescuers. We have no intention of doing anything but helping them get back up on their feet. And that's been very important to the local government commission members who are also members of the council of state. And lastly, I'm pleased to have Dan Way here, who's part of our communications team. And like many of you back in your shop, have people who are the glue, who make things run. And so I always appreciate having staff with me at the council of state. And that's my report.
Thank you. Superintendent Truitt.
Thank you, Governor. It's wonderful to be with everyone this morning. And Commissioner Troxler, so glad that you have mended and are with us today. And speaking of COVID, COVID not only continues to impact our citizens, but it also continues to impact our public schools. The number of schools that are now designated both federally and at the state level as low performing due to poor end of grade testing due to school closures is something that unfortunately our schools, a lot of our schools must deal with every day. And my team and I have been very clear that this pandemic has underscored the limited nature of our state accountability model, which is this. It's a formula that looks at how students performed in grades 3 through 8, and then again in a couple of courses in high school, on high stakes end of grade testing that occurs on one day out of the year. And it takes 80% of that achievement and then calculates it alongside 20% growth. So how far did a teacher grow a group of students? Again, using the scores on those same tests from the beginning of the year or the beginning of the semester to the end of the year or the end of the semester. And it spits out a letter grade. And then students, families, teachers, school leaders are then designated A through F. And so what we would argue is that is while testing is important and is still required by the federal government in our federal accountability model, it's not enough to determine a school's quality based on testing that occurs one day of the year. And to illustrate that point, our statewide principal of the year, Dr. Patrick Green of Greene County, has 54 teachers in his high school. 6 of them teach a tested subject, which means that his school's letter grade, which is supposed to be indicative of school quality, is determined by 6 out of 54 teachers at his school. So clearly this is a flawed model. We've had this model for about 12 years, and it's been a part of my strategic plan, the Operation Polaris, to work to change this model. We partnered with EdNC in October and did a statewide survey where we got 19,000 responses. And over 80% of those who responded, 45% of which were parents, by the way, said that while testing does need to be considered, it should not be the only indicator of school quality. So we continue with an advisory group that is bipartisan and utilizes expertise of not just K-12, but also our partners in higher ed and business to look at what our testing and accountability system should look like, what those metrics should be. Should we be looking at things like chronic absenteeism? Should we be looking at things like availability of tutoring at school? Should we be looking at family satisfaction surveys, teacher satisfaction surveys? Do teachers feel valued at their school? Do parents feel like the school is a place where they are welcomed and can get their concerns and questions addressed in a timely manner? So we look forward to presenting a new slate of measures to the General Assembly during the long session, and we'll keep this body updated. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Commissioner Causey.
Thank you, Governor. 123 people have died in fires in North Carolina this year. 116 of those in house fires, and tragically 2 were children this past week in Rowan County. And we also had another situation in Rowan County where a house was on fire, and the first responders went in to put out the fire, and somebody started shooting at first responders, and 3 were hit, firefighters and a Rowan County Sheriff's deputy. They recovered, they were treated and released, fortunately, but I just want to remind people to stay safe during this Christmas season. And the children that died because it was an older house and some high ceilings trying to keep the house warm. They put a space heater beside the children's bed, and probably blankets or material got on that space heater and caught on fire. And the one adult that was there was in critical condition in the burn center. So it's keep safe, keep children away from space heaters. And the biggest thing is to have working smoke alarms. And there are smoke alarms out there that you can get at any hardware store that are 10-year batteries. So it's worth 10 minutes to protect your family for 10 years. And Governor, I appreciate your comments about the power outage in Moore County, because that gave us a wake-up call. We were supposed to make a presentation at the Eula Volunteer Fire Department this afternoon, which is in Randolph County, but they had to cancel because they have no power. 2,600 homes and businesses in Randolph County and other counties surrounding Moore. So I think it really gave us a wake-up call to provide better security at our power substations. And I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Look forward to seeing you in January.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Dobson.
Thank you, Governor. In 2019, Commissioner Berry sat at this very table and announced that she was not seeking re-election. She said the reason she was announcing so early was to allow others who had an interest in running the time to decide and put together an effective campaign. I very much appreciated that, and I promised myself I would do the same when my time came as a courtesy to others. Everyone at this table knows how difficult it is to run for statewide office and what a monumental decision it is to choose to run, so I was always grateful for her for that. So today, after much soul searching, I'm announcing that I will not seek re-election for another term as Commissioner of Labor, nor will I be a candidate for any office in 2024. I will finish my term and for the next 2 years dedicate myself to doing all I can. First and foremost, I want to keep people safe at work. Second, I want to try to help tone down the political rhetoric that frankly doesn't solve any problem and only adds to the challenges hardworking North Carolinians are facing every single day. Finally, I want to have a hand in helping solve the workforce shortage that we have all across our state, particularly in state government. Of the few people that I have told, the first question I get is why? Why am I choosing not to seek re-election? For me, it has never been about marking time with status or maintaining a title, but trying to help the people who have given me this unbelievable opportunity to serve and to try to do good by them. So honestly, it's very simple. When this term is up, I will have served 14 consecutive years in 3 different offices, and I feel the time is right for me to step out of elected office. It's nothing more and it's nothing less than that. I'm so grateful for the support of my family. They have supported me during each of my previous 5 elections, and they are supportive now of my decision to not run for re-election. I'm also grateful for the employees at the North Carolina Department of Labor and the work they do every day to keep North Carolinians safe. I'm proud of what we have already accomplished and what we will accomplish over the next 2 years. We truly do have some amazing individuals at the North Carolina Department of Labor that I've come to know and love. And their dedication and hard work are what make the North Carolina Department of Labor special. Because of them, this department was great long before I got here, and it will be great long after my time as commissioner is over. Another question that I might get asked is, what's next for me after my term is up? All I can tell you is that I still have a passion for public service and for healthcare policy in particular. Closing the coverage gap would be one. So I hope to stay engaged in some capacity. However, as we all know, at this table especially, one's time in the arena is fleeting and it's limited. So as to what my future looks like after my term at Labor is over, I have no earthly idea. I want to thank Commissioner Troxler in particular for his friendship and support. I'm certain if not for him, I would not be sitting at this table with all of you. Lastly, and most importantly, I want to thank the people of North Carolina for this incredible opportunity they have given me to serve our great state, and I will continue to give it everything I have in the time that I have left. Let me be clear, I'm not going anywhere. My focus over the next 2 years will be health and safety in the workplace, toning down the political rhetoric, and working with this council and this General Assembly to find innovative solutions to the workforce shortage across the state, and in particular, state government. It is an unbelievable privilege to sit at this table with every one of you, and I look forward to the good work we can accomplish together over the next 2 years. Thank you, Governor.
Commissioner. Thank you for the excellent work you've done in this position and in your time as in the legislature. You've worked very hard on many levels to bring people together to consensus on a lot of thorny issues. So thank you for that. There's a lot to do. You and I both have 2 years and 24 days left in our particular jobs. So that's a lot of time to get some things done. Absolutely. So look forward to continuing to work with you, and thank you for being so clear in what you're going to do. And I know everybody else appreciates that, but there's a lot of, I think, sadness across the department and people thinking that they really appreciated your good work.
Thank you.
So thank you for that. Alder Wood, you got anything to tell us today?
It ain't that. It ain't that. No, Governor, I have nothing this morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Well, number one, I know that people are concerned about the situation that has occurred in Moore County. This was an intentional, malicious act against the community, and it plunged tens of thousands of people into darkness. They're still there. We've had 3 priorities. Number one, health and safety. And there's a lot of coordinated effort to make sure that people are protected. We know that there are a lot of retired people there, a lot of long-term care facilities, adult care homes, making sure they have what they need, lights for traffic intersections that don't have signals anymore, mass feeding, shelters, a lot that's going on that's a lot like hurricane recovery really right now because there's no power. The second thing is getting the power back on as quickly as possible. I've talked with the CEO of Duke Energy. They are working around the clock to bring some equipment in to try to get it on as quickly as they can. They are now shooting for Thursday morning. They're hoping to get it done more quickly. The third thing is to make sure that federal, state, and local law enforcement find out who's responsible for this and why. And that we make sure that they are brought to justice. Those things we're working on. Commissioner Causey, you're right. I do think we need to take a long-term view about making sure that our critical infrastructure is hardened. And we'll be talking with state and federal officials about that as we move forward. I also want to thank all of you all. This has been a coordinated effort to try to make sure that we are giving services to people who need them right now. And I appreciate the continued cooperation. The other thing that I would like to mention is that sadly, I think it was late Sunday night, it might have been in the wee hours of Monday morning, but Warren County Deputy Sheriff Jose de Leon was killed on duty going to the scene of a purported crime in a vehicle accident. Let's keep his family in our prayers, the Warren County Sheriff's Office in our prayers, and all of the people there. And I think it would be appropriate for us, first, before we adjourn, I want to ask Kristen Walker, our Budget Director, do you have anything that you wanted to tell members of the council?
No, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. It is budget season, as you all know, so we look forward to collaborating with you and working with your agencies. And we would also like to welcome Mary Grace Core. Kelly Lockamy is taking a new position in our office, and so you all will be seeing Mary Grace and working with her as we set the agenda and move forward for meetings next year. Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you. And we hope that everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. But I do want to adjourn the meeting today in honor of Deputy Sheriff de Leon and all of our law enforcement officers and first responders who have been killed in the line of duty. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Mike.